In the long and varied history of our world, certain objects have captured the human imagination with a power that transcends time itself. They become more than mere artifacts. They are symbols, steeped in mystery and lore. Their stories whispered from one generation to the next. Perhaps none is more enigmatic, more sought after than the Ark of the Covenant. This sacred chest is described in ancient texts as a vessel of divine power. It represents a profound connection between humanity and the celestial. Its story is not just one of religious devotion, but a grand adventure woven into the fabric of history. A puzzle that has tantalized seekers, scholars, dreamers. The allure of the Ark lies in its duality. It is at once a tangible object, meticulously described with dimensions of gold acacia wood, and an intangible concept of immense spiritual weight. It was said to be the very footstool of God on earth, a conduit for miracles, a weapon of terrifying force. Its disappearance from the historical record around 587 BC did not diminish its importance. The first appearance of the Ark of the Covenant is not in a dusty archaeological dig, but within the pages of the Hebrew Bible, specifically in the book of Exodus. Here we find a detailed account of its origin, a divine commission given to Moses on the sacred slopes of Mount Sinai. According to the text, God himself provided the precise instructions for its construction. This was not to be an ordinary container, but a masterfully crafted object intended to serve as the most sacred relic of the Israelites. It was to be the physical manifestation of God's covenant, a constant and mobile reminder of his presence among them as they journeyed through the unforgiving wilderness. The biblical narrative establishes the Ark's central role in the religious and national life of ancient Israel. It was to be housed within the tabernacle, a portable sanctuary that served as the center of Israelite worship during their 40 years of wandering. The Ark was placed in the innermost and most sacred chamber, the Holy of Holies, separated from the rest of the sanctuary by a thick veil. Only the high priest was permitted to enter this space, and only on one day of the year, Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. This extreme reverence underscored its importance. It was the focal point of their connection to the divine, the very heart of their spiritual world. The descriptions of the Ark's function are as remarkable as those of its construction. It was far more than a simple repository for sacred items. The Bible portrays it as an active and powerful force in the lives of the Israelites. It was carried before them as they marched, believed to clear the path and select their resting places. During the conquest of Canaan, it was said to have miraculously parted the waters of the Jordan River, allowing the Israelite army to cross on dry ground. It was also depicted as a formidable weapon of war. The biblical instructions for the Ark's creation were extraordinarily specific, detailing a work of both exquisite craftsmanship and profound symbolic meaning. The core of the chest was to be constructed from acacia wood, a hardy, dense timber native to the Sinai Peninsula, known for its resilience. This wooden box was to be overlaid inside with pure beaten gold and out with pure beaten gold, signifying its immense value and sacred purity. Its dimensions were also precisely mandated, 2.5 cubits in length and 1.5 cubits in both width and height. This translates to roughly 1.3 meters long and 0.8 meters wide and high, a chest large enough to be substantial, yet portable enough to be carried. The design was completed with several key features. Gold rings were to be cast and attached to its 4 feet, through which 2 long poles would be inserted. The poles themselves made of acacia wood and overlaid with gold. These poles were for carrying the Ark and were never to be removed, ensuring that human hands would never directly touch the sacred chest itself. The lid, known as the mercy seat or caporet, was a solid slab of pure gold. Atop this lid were 2 golden cherubim, angelic beings, facing each other with their wings outstretched. Among the many theories concerning the Ark's final resting place, the one that holds the most historical and religious weight is that it never left Jerusalem at all. Proponents of this idea believe that the Ark was hidden away in a secret location shortly before the city was besieged and its temple destroyed. The most cited reason for this is the impending invasion by the Babylonian king, Nebuchadnezzar II, in 587 BC. The priests of Solomon's temple, foreseeing the inevitable destruction of their sacred sanctuary, would have taken extraordinary measures to protect their most precious relic from being captured, desecrated, or melted down for its gold by the conquering army. The most compelling version of this theory centers on the Temple Mount itself, the site where Solomon's temple once stood. The Dome of the Rock and Al-Aqsa Mosque stand today. Ancient Jewish texts, including the Mishnah and the Talmud, allude to a complex system of tunnels and chambers built by King Solomon deep beneath the temple. These were supposedly designed for the very purpose of safeguarding the Ark in a time of crisis. According to this tradition, King Josiah, one of the last righteous kings of Judah, learned of the impending Babylonian threat and commanded the Levites to move the Ark into this pre-prepared subterranean vault where it remains, hidden deep within the bedrock of Mount Moriah. This theory is supported by a fascinating blend of textual clues and local legends. A vastly different and equally compelling narrative about the Ark's fate takes us far south of Jerusalem, across the Red Sea, to the highlands of Africa. This is the Ethiopian tradition, a story deeply embedded in the national and religious identity of the country. According to the Kebra Nagast, or the Glory of Kings, which is Ethiopia's sacred national epic, the Ark of the Covenant was brought to their land nearly 3,000 years ago. The story begins with the famous visit of the Queen of Sheba to King Solomon in Jerusalem. The Kebra Nagast recounts that the two monarchs had a son, Menelik I, who would become the first emperor of Ethiopia. Years later, as a young man, Menelik travelled to Jerusalem to meet his father. When the time came for him to return to his homeland, the story takes a dramatic turn. According to the Ethiopian account, a group of Israelite nobles, including the son of the high priest Zadok, were tasked with accompanying Menelik back to Ethiopia. Unbeknownst to Solomon and Menelik, these men, unhappy about leaving Jerusalem, decided to take the Ark with them. They constructed a replica to leave in its place in the temple's Holy of Holies and, smuggled the true Ark out of the city and all the way to Ethiopia, believing it was God's will for the Ark to be protected in a new righteous land. Today, the Ethiopian Orthodox Tewahedo Church claims that the Ark of the Covenant rests securely in the town of Aksum, within a small, unassuming building known as the Chapel of the Tablet at the Church of Our Lady Mary of Zion. The relic is guarded by a single, lifelong virgin monk, the guardian of the Ark, who is the only person on earth permitted to see it. This guardian never leaves the chapel grounds and, upon his death, names his own successor from among the monks. This sacred trust has been, they claim, passed down in an unbroken chain for centuries, preserving the Ark in secrecy and sanctity. This claim, while dismissed by many mainstream historians, is not without its intriguing elements. Ethiopia has a long and ancient history of Judaism and Christianity, and the traditions surrounding the Ark are deeply ingrained and fervently believed. Every church in Ethiopia contains a tablet, a replica of the Ark, upon which the church is consecrated. The search for the Ark of the Covenant presents a unique and, honestly, a pretty frustrating challenge for the fields of archaeology and science. The fundamental problem is a stark lack of physical evidence. While the Bible provides a rich and detailed description of the Ark, no corresponding archaeological finds have ever corroborated its existence. We have discovered no blueprints from the era, no workshop remnants, no contemporary accounts from neighbouring cultures that mention this extraordinary golden chest. From a purely archaeological standpoint, the Ark exists only within the pages of religious texts, leaving researchers with no starting point, no physical trail to follow through the layers of history. This absence of evidence is compounded by the passage of an immense amount of time. The Ark disappeared from the biblical narrative over 2,600 years ago. Civilizations have risen and fallen, cities have been built and destroyed multiple times over, and landscapes have been irrevocably altered. Any object, even one made of gold and resilient wood, faces a significant chance of having been destroyed, dismantled, or simply decomposed over so many centuries. Gold, while durable, is also highly valuable, and would have been a prime target for plunderers. The Babylonians, who destroyed Solomon's temple, were known for melting down the precious metals of conquered peoples. Beyond its religious and historical significance, the Ark of the Covenant is perhaps most famous for the extraordinary and often terrifying powers attributed to it. The biblical texts themselves are filled with cautionary tales about its immense energy. It was not an object to be treated lightly. The story of Uzzah, a man who reached out to steady the ark as it was being transported, only to be struck dead instantly for his unauthorized touch, serves as a stark warning. Similarly, the Philistines, after capturing the ark, were said to have been afflicted with tumors and plagues until they were forced to return it. These accounts establish the ark as a vessel of raw, untamable divine power. These ancient legends have evolved over time, weaving themselves into the fabric of folklore and speculative theory. One of the most persistent ideas is that the ark was not merely a symbolic object, but a form of ancient technology. Some fringe theories propose that it was a powerful electrical capacitor, capable of storing and discharging immense energy, explaining the deadly effects on those who touched it improperly. Others have suggested it was a communications device, a radio to God, or even a weapon of immense destructive capability, powered by some unknown energy source. When we move away from faith legend and popular culture into the world of mainstream academic scholarship, a more sober and cautious picture of the Ark of the Covenant emerges. Most historians and archaeologists do accept that an object known as the Ark of the Covenant likely existed. Sacred chests or boxes containing holy objects were common in many ancient Near Eastern cultures, and it is entirely plausible that the early Israelites had such a central cultic object as described in the Bible. It would have served as a portable shrine during their nomadic and early settlement periods, a tangible focal point for their national and religious identity. However, the consensus diverges sharply when it comes to the Ark's alleged supernatural powers and its ultimate fate. The biblical account of the Ark parting rivers, toppling walls, and striking people dead are viewed by scholars as theological narratives rather than literal historical reports. These stories are understood as powerful allegories, designed to illustrate the power of God and the importance of adhering to the covenant, not as eyewitness accounts of paranormal events. The miraculous elements are seen as part of a sacred storytelling tradition meant to inspire faith and awe, rather than a factual record of the Ark's physical capabilities. Regarding its disappearance, the most widely accepted scholarly theory is also the most mundane: it was likely destroyed. The historical record is clear that Nebuchadnezzar's army thoroughly sacked Jerusalem and the Temple in 587 BC. The Babylonian practice was to carry off valuable items and melt them down. An ornate, gold-covered chest would have been a prime target. The Ark is conspicuously absent from the detailed list of temple treasures that the Babylonians carried away. As recorded in the Bible, this absence is interpreted by many scholars as an indication it may have been destroyed even before that final conquest. In the final analysis, the enduring power of the Ark of the Covenant lies not in its physical reality, but in what it represents. For millennia, it has stood as a profound symbol of the connection between the human and the divine, a tangible link to an intangible faith. Its story is a testament to the human need for sacred objects, for focal points that can anchor belief and to give form to the abstract. The lack of physical proof, rather than diminishing its importance, has allowed it to grow in stature. It has become a vessel for our collective imagination, a screen onto which we project our deepest questions about faith, history, and mystery.